Sense.
Like without
Like-
boundaries.
Yeah, that's what eternal is.
No. Eternal is about time.
Okay, so his attributes are eternal and infinite, if that's what you want here.
Well, that's what I want. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, sure.
Do you believe that? So,
Yeah.
so what does infinite mean in that circumstance?
Like I said, it depends in what context you're talking. So, for example, if you're talking about his attributes, they're absolute and eternal.
Absolute and eternal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So his attributes are eternal and
infinite.
absolute. Yes.
And infinite.
I think it
without
fits-
boundaries.
yeah,
I think-
there's no boundaries.
Without boundaries.
Yes.
So where does this reality fit into an infinite space? That because it sounds like your argument would be there'd be a boundary around because I believe.
No, I
you
said
don't
they're
believe-
eternal. I didn't say they're finite. They're infinite means
Infinite, yeah.
they are not finite.
Yes.
And they are not
But they-
bound
but
by
you
time and space.
Yeah. Okay.
And they are
So-
eternal and they are absolute. Yeah.
And you also believe that Allah is not in this world.
Allah is beyond. Yeah. So
Yeah.
even before
So-
this world was there,
so he's locked
Allah
out.
existed. Say again?
He's locked out of this world.
What do you mean locked out?
If place doesn't apply to him, how can you say locked
Yeah.
out?
Well, because you're saying that he's infinite and everywhere except here.
We never
no,
use
no.
the word everywhere.
When you say
have to
say
believe
he's
space.
not here, so Allah says in the Quran that he is closer to you than your jugular vein. What does it imply?
You said he was.
Yeah, which means whatever is temporal, it's something that is beyond that. Yes? And he is able by his knowledge to know everything that's in this world. So just because he is not fixed to a time and space, which is not, he transcends time and space, that means even before this world existed, he existed. So before he created
You're
anything,
not answering my point though.
What?
Is that that if you think of
I think you're thinking in terms of time and space.
No.
That's why I told him.
No,
Yeah.
The minute you use where, you can rephrase
your
your
job
question.
in a way is to
You can
explain
rephrase
my
your question.
confusion, right? Really, isn't it?
Yeah, but your worldview is different from what we are telling you of
Well,
how
no,
God.
this is philosophy, isn't it, in a way? So it's in the same way as you've got contingent arguments and the arguments around that. There's
Yeah.
a philosophy around this, and so those principles have to be understood. And in the same way as you will speak to Christians and say, well, how does that work? And they say, well, I don't know, why the Trinity is Trinity, whatever. You want more than that. You want either scriptural proof. Well, I'm not looking for a scriptural proof because I'm not Christian or Muslim.
Yeah.
But what I am looking
But you must still have
what I am
principles,
looking
right?
is for a philosophical
Yeah,
argument.
even for a
that's
philosophical
cohesive.
argument, you
That's
need some
cohesive.
principles.
Yes.
Okay, so what is your understanding of God?
So
Let's
no,
start
no,
with
no,
that.
no, no,
Because I think what you're doing is you're coming from your understanding of God and you're trying to juxtapose that on Islam.
No.
I'm telling you in Islam.
I'm asking you this.
Yeah, go on.
Which is if you have God, which
Yeah.
is before all other causes, and God then causes creation.
Yeah.
Where does that creation reside?
So the creation is part of the time and space, which is also creation of Allah.
Is also creation. of
Yes.
Allah. And where, but Allah is separate to that creation.
Allah is not part of the creation, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. So if there was only Allah,
Yes.
as there was
At
the
one time, yeah.
At one time, in fact, before space-time,
Yeah, before the creation. Yeah.
before the creation,
Yeah.
and then Allah creates a creation
Yeah.
outside of Allah, but Allah is absolute. He can't create something outside.
Yeah, but when Allah creates the creation, why would you say this is inside Allah?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm saying the opposite. Is how does He make it outside?
I just want to make a point. When you say outside of Allah, you already impose space.
Exactly, yeah.
But we are saying when
Well,
Allah is there,
I just want you to explain.
when Allah
He
is there,
transcends space and time.
No, I know that.
So what we're saying
but
is
He's
Muslims-
created space and time.
Exactly.
So where does that space and time go?
It's still there.
See, my argument.
It's still
but
there.
Hashim, my argument is that actually this is all part of.
Ah, I see what you're
So
saying.
he-
Yeah. It's like
so
you're
I'm
saying.
telling you,
So
yeah.
he's already thinking of a plane. Let's
Yeah,
say
yeah.
this is space.
Yeah.
And Allah is existing somewhere in the
And then-
corner
No,
there.
no.
And then he has to create.
No,
That's what I was
absolutely the
trying to tell him,
opposite. The
basically.
opposite.
So where is Allah before the creation?
Okay,
According to your understanding of Islam, where do you think Allah is?
Allah is just is.
Exactly, without space and time,
there's
right?
nowhere.
So when he creates something,
Yes.
yes, he creates space. Do you understand? He
Yeah.
creates space.
Where does He create that?
Like I said, space itself is a where. That is the where.
But
The
if
space
you
itself
are,
is the
if you
where.
just are.
Who is the only are?
If there is one,
One what?
everything.
No. That's
Now
your
that's what you
worldview.
believe. That's what you
That's
believe.
your worldview.
No, one power.
No. If there's only one, there's one Allah.
Okay, no,
Okay?
you name.
If there's one Allah, He's able to create space. That answers your question about where.
Does he create?
Wait.
No,
Oh, sorry, what's the name?
doesn't
I forgot your name.
John.
John.
It does
Do you,
answer.
wait. It does.
answer.
Okay, so what is space to you then? Tell me. What do you understand by space?
Well, no, you're asking me.
I'm asking you a very
I'm
valid
asking
question. What is space?
I'm asking the question.
No, but you need to understand what I'm saying.
How does
Yeah.
Allah, who is everything?
No. We don't see everything.
Okay, all power.
Yes.
All power.
Absolute power, yeah.
Absolute attribute. What are the attributes of Allah?
99 of them. You want me to list them all?
The main.
The main is
principal
first, he's a creator.
Yeah.
Yes. He's Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahim means the merciful, the most gracious. Yes. He's someone who's
more about his size, his power.
yeah. He's As-Samad. That means he's eternal and he's not dependent on anyone.
Absolutely.
Okay. He's one, obviously.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
oneness.
Yeah.
So these are
Oneness.
and he's
Oneness.
unlike any of his creation.
Oneness.
He's unlike any of his creation.
Yeah.
As well.
So he's oneness.
Unique oneness.
Unique one.
The word ahad in
There
Arabic
can be
language.
nothing before he created. There can be nothing else but Allah.
Yeah. So Allah is uncreated.
attributes.
He's uncreated, uncaused.
Yeah. We got that bit. We got
Okay.
the uncreated.
So which
uncaused.
bit you don't get?
What I'm asking about
Yeah.
is that the state of Allah is there is just Allah, being Allah, God,
Yes, he's independent of the creation.
independent of the creation.
Yes.
And then in that beingness, He creates the universe, the world, whatever.
No, not in his beingness.
No.
By his power of as a
Outside
creator.
of His beingness.
Yeah. Apart from his being. Apart from his being, he creates space.
Yeah.
And in that space, he creates his creation.
So
I can't get any more clear.
No. But in the infinite Allah, to
Yes.
create something in the same argument as contingency.
But Allah, I told you-
Same as the Kalam cosmological argument regarding infinite
Yeah.
and eternal. How does? I mean, look, you might ask me questions to try and explain it, but actually, I'm asking you the how to explain it, which would be helpful for
You
me.
believe the only explanation is the answers? It's
No,
not
no,
only
no.
answers. Questions also help.
I think I've
I
been
understand,
more than
but-
clear, I think.
No. But
I said he created the creation outside himself.
outside, how did he do that?
Well, by his power of creation. Sorry,
Well, no,
to
no.
create, by his power to create.
No. Creation.
He's Al-Khaliq,
But
which means he's able to create.
creating isn't the issue that I've got.
What is the issue
It's
then?
not the creating.
I think it's the space.
creating it outside
Yeah,
of
so
himself.
for you the issue is the space, right? Am I right?
Outside of himself.
John, the issue for you is space. Am I right?
It's
The space itself is a creation of Allah.
yeah. No, it's not the space that
I think it is a space in your case.
Okay.
That is what you're trying to comprehend, because you're saying if Allah is the only being, yes, where did he create space? Am I right?
Create himself. I'll tell you
Okay.
how.
Am I right?
So say
Like your
you've
own-
got a swimming pool of water,
Yeah.
and that is no longer a swimming pool, as in having the walls, the floor, or the surface. It's infinite. It's an infinite amount of water. Yeah.
Then it's not a swimming pool.
No, I know. I've
Very bad
expanded
analogy.
topologically a
Okay.
swimming pool into infinity.
Okay,
yeah?
infinite swimming pool.
Infinite water.
Okay, infinite water,
Substance,
yeah. And
water.
Yeah.
So, and say in a different kind of thing that this water is God. Where does this and has the power and attributes of God? Where does that God make a space for space?
you see what I mean?
Where a question of space?
No, wait. Did I not say his
know.
problem was space?
Yeah.
Yes?
Location, not space.
But you're not using
Location.
semantics. It's just semantics.
No, well, come on.
Okay, can you show me any
Take us
location
further.
that wait, show me any location that's not space. Go on, John.
What's that?
Show me any location that's not space.
A location that's not space. I
Yes.
don't understand the question.
Which means you're using semantics. So
Oh, I
every
see, I see.
location is a space, and every space has a location
okay,
in it.
No. So okay, it's not semantics. I'll tell you why I distinguish the difference. It's
Okay, define location.
Yes, location is
Yeah.
an indices of where something is. Space could be anywhere. It's not location.
Can a location exist without space?
But that's not the. What
That
I'm
is
saying.
exactly what he's saying.
No, I'm saying that. No. These are totally.
John, your main issue is space. I've already figured that out.
Location of it.
Whether you use the term location or space, yes,
Well, let's
because
just use location.
no,
if
but
you're okay with
when you say location, a location is a particular space, a particular space.
particular.
Is that more better understanding?
Yeah, that's
okay,
okay.
explanation. So, for example, if I put in my GPS a particular postcode,
Yeah.
it takes me to a particular location.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But if I just said on street, I don't know,
Maybe to a space.
yeah, say street Prince of Wales or something like that, then he'll take me to the street, but not a particular location on the street. You see what I mean?
No.
Yes. Now there is a specific location, and there is a more general space. Which one is your issue with regards to God creating?
For me,
Yeah.
it's about where outside of his infinite beingness, where he would locate a creation.
Anywhere. He can
Not
choose.
anywhere.
Yes, it can be. If God wishes to create something, he can place it anywhere in the general space
I think,
that he is
I
creating.
think he's
What general
assuming. I think you're assuming
Yeah.
that God A is a physical entity.
I'm not.
B, there is something that you can comprehend his essence.
I'm not.
For in order for you to say that God is infinite in essence, what essence do you mean? It's not a physical essence for him to create. God is like a big physical essence. That's what you're assuming. I think is
Yeah,
a
I think so,
physical
yeah.
infinite essence.
I think he's
and then
coming-
He's going to create no space to create anything. This is what you're
So
imagining.
he's coming
in your
from
mind.
the pantheistic worldview,
I know, yeah.
which means it occupies all space. Am
Yeah.
I right?
Yeah.
So you're coming from that worldview. We are saying that all that space itself is a creation.
Yeah.
I've made it very clear from the very
but
beginning.
I understand what you're saying. That's not the. So the point I'm trying to make, we're not meeting at.
I think I am, but your worldview, because you're asking your question from a worldview of pantheism, which means
I think
everything that
That's
exists.
kind of by the by, actually.
No, it is
No,
because
it's by the by.
no, it's called a priori. You're coming from a presupposition,
No,
and
no,
this
no,
presupposition
I'm
of yours.
with the a priori argument of God's attributes being infinite, eternal, and when before creating there is only God.
can I ask you-
wait, there is only God.
Sure.
Right?
Let me
You,
ask you-
you might be able to answer
problem.
this, but I think. I don't want to. I don't mind losing an argument or.
It's not about losing,
right.
it's trying to
But
understand.
I do think it's. I do feel like it's an important thing to be clear about, if possible. Maybe it's not possible, but the point I'm saying is that you've got God being an infinite, eternal, having all these all-powerful attributes, and then you're saying that God creates, and I'm not questioning the creation. What I'm saying is that this, and maybe this is a way of arguing it. You can create within His eternalness, or He can create outside of His eternalness. And what I'm asking is, how does He create? Because if He creates outside of His eternalness, He is no longer eternal. He is bound by the thing that He's
Okay.
created.
Is-
Like, so if you put a ball in the swimming pool or the infinite water, now the water isn't in the ball,
I
and there is
see.
a boundary.
It's against space.
And then there's a
Again about
boundary.
space, yeah.
Okay.
There's a boundary around that
Is-
ball, which
Is
God
in,
isn't
is in and out a question of
You're
space?
blocking
Yes or no?
Look,
Yeah.
this
It
is
is,
not
it
an
is.
argument to do yes or no. Is it in or out?
Yeah,
Because it
No,
could
no,
be
you're
argued.
saying he created
I
in
think- I
itself
would
or
rather you
outside?
explain this.
I think, John, what you understand by infinite God
Yeah.
is that He occupies all space, all location. Hear me out.
being, yeah.
All location out there, all space out there. Is that what you're trying to?
There is.
What do you understand by infinite God? What do you understand by it? Because I said His attributes are infinite, if you remember correctly. Yes?
Yeah.
So for example, God is all loving. That means the ability for Him to love is so absolute that we cannot comprehend. Yes? His love is not the love that we as human beings, all of His creation possess. So if you put all the love of all the things out there, yes, and if you place His love, it is like His love will be 99% compared to the 1% of the creation. You see what I mean? So when you talk about infinite attributes,
Sorry, could you repeat that last?
like 99% would be the value of love of God, and 1% would be the value of the
Are you
love.
saying that's the case, or you're saying that's not the case?
I think there's a hadith there, isn't it? A similar hadith about the amount of love that Allah shows or Allah has.
The mercy.
Yeah, the mercy of Allah. Mercy, love, like they are under similar,
Yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're moving all these words together today. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah,
mercy,
so the
whatever.
mercy of Allah basically supersedes that of this creation. Even
by
if-
100,
by 99%.
by 99.
Yeah, so it's a ratio of 99 to 1.
Yeah.
Is that more clear?
Okay.
Okay, good. So that's what I'm saying. When it says his mercy, one of His attributes, yes, is infinite, then we understand it in this sense. But what you're saying is that
Can I just clarify
Yeah,
that?
sure,
No.
go on.
See, what you're saying is that there is infinite mercy. He creates a creation, and 1/100th of the mercy that He had is now in the creation. Is that what you're
no, not 100. Yeah.
1/99th.
So let's say 1%.
Well, it's not
One-
just 1/100th is 1%.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So let's make it
okay,
easier.
yeah,
1% is in the creation,
Yeah.
and 99% is what He possesses.
yes.
And the hadith actually says that He retains this mercy for the day of judgment.
the mercy that's in the creation.
No, the mercy that is with him, the 99%.
The 99%.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying.
It's not infinite mercy that he's got now.
Well, infinite in the sense this 99% is just an analogy.
Just a figure.
Well, you know,
It's an analogy. You know, I'm not putting a value to it.
Well, yeah, you are.
Well,
You've got the.
it's an analogy.
It's a ratio. It's not an analogy. An analogy is something very different.
Okay, what do you understand by percent?
No, well, what,
You see what I mean? It's not exact.
No. It's a ratio. If you're saying that there's 100th here and Allah has got the other 99, that's not an analogy. That's a ratio.
Yeah, it's a ratio.
Now the amount of mercy that's in this creation is hard to define. But what we do
Well, it's
know,
1%, we know that.
Yeah, but what we do know from the ratio is that that's 99.
Yes, 99%.
99 more.
What it shows is basically this was an analogy given in the hadith. In the hadith is given as an analogy to show. I'm telling you, it's to show the amount of mercy that Allah has retained for the day of judgment. So if you divide the mercy of Allah into 100 parts, yes, we know that the humans and even the animals, yes, or the creation of Allah, like the other creations, they possess some form of mercy. So a human, a mother showing mercy to her child is also from Allah. Yes, so this is bestowed on the creation, but He has retained for Himself the 99, the biggest, what do you say, percentage of it.
I think this is exactly supporting my argument.
Okay, anyway, but this is to show you that when we talk about His attributes being infinite, being absolute, being eternal, yes, is to show you that these are attributes, the 99 attributes which Allah has informed us already about, but it doesn't say anywhere in the Quran or in the Hadith that when we speak about Allah being infinite, that He's someone who had occupied all space and everything that Allah created is within that space or within Allah Himself. I think which is your main contention. Am I right? Is that your contention, right?
It's one of my contests.
Well, that's I think the main one.
The other contention then that comes from this 99% to 1%.
Yeah.
What about power?
Power is a different attribute.
Okay, but
Yes.
how much does the universe
I don't think it tells us. There's no hadith. So we can only tell you what we have been informed. Nothing more than that.
So effectively, what you're saying, and do correct me if I'm wrong, is that Allah has 100% of mercy, and He puts 1% into His creation.
Yes.
And then, but He is not. That even though that's His attribute, He is not.
Oh no, He hasn't given His attribute to the. You know, there are certain things like there's another hadith which says Allah created man in His image. Yes, which means many people say that this is the image. Some of them say that this is the image means Adam was created not from a child who was born of his mother and then he grew up. He had a particular, what is it, form in which he was created, because he wasn't born like a normal child is born from a mother's womb, which he has to grow up, get bigger, and then So, but some others say that this is because certain of human characteristics are seen in Allah, like His love, His mercy, but the degree of love and mercy in Allah is different to that of the human beings. But anyway, I think the first view is more correct in terms of Adam's own image.
But that's
Okay, so answering your question with regards to His attributes, so there are attributes that the human possesses, yes, but there are also, they might use the same name, for example, mercy, yes. So Ar-Rahman means the most merciful. This is an attribute only for Allah, but a man and a woman can also be Rahman in the sense that they are merciful as well to their children, maybe to their parents, yes. However, the degree of the two is different. Yes?
Yeah, but what I'm saying, and the argument within, say, a pantheistic way, is that that's cohesive, that this universe or anything outside of the anything that can be imagined or is the sum total of everything. And it's infinite, and it's all powerful in itself. But what you're saying...
When you say it, are you taking it as something as a sentient?
Well, I would see it as a conscious sentient consciousness, yeah.
You think this entire universe has some form of consciousness?
That it is consciousness, I think.
Where's the evidence for that?
Well, that's another argument.
So what matters got consciousness?
I don't know.
But the issue, in a way, that I still don't get is that you've got somebody like Allah, or the Quranic understanding of Allah is that He's got infinite mercy, but actually now He's just got 99 times.
No. You misunderstood what I meant. Allah did not give His own attribute to the people.
So why has he only got 99 now?
That is just to show you the analogy of the amount of mercy Allah has reserved for the creation versus His.
Reserved, exactly. That's exactly.
But that's not His attribute. The mercy given to the creation is not His attribute.
But now
His
he's only
attribute.
got 99%.
Look, the hadith says that Allah created 100 mercies.
What?
Allah created 100 mercies
100 mercies.
and He gave one of them to the creation. So now maybe that resolves
Oh,
the
so
misconception that
mercy
you
is a
have.
creation, not an attribute of Allah.
He created 100 mercy.
So that's what I'm saying.
Can I finish what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
sure, go for
Okay,
it.
Allah created 100 mercy.
Yeah.
Mercy is something not to be measured. Mercy is not a physical thing that you say this is 1% of mercy, 2% of mercy. This is an
said
analogy.
100,
This is
yeah.
an analogy.
It's an
of
analogy.
Prophet
That's what I told
Muhammad
him.
Given to us that Allah created 100 mercies. He placed one of these mercies in the creation that we use to be merciful with each other. And that mercy will be also back in the day of judgment with the other 100 mercies. So Allah is showing us His mercy in the day of judgment. He's not saying from my mercy,
Exactly. He did
I have
not
100
share His
mercies,
attribute with
and
the
I give
creation.
you one of my 100 mercies.
So
this is- I think this is what you understand.
Firstly, you said it wasn't to be counted, but you gave 100 of them. But the issue,
I said
the issue,
the attribute of Allah, not
Yeah,
the ones
no,
He
no.
created. You're confusing both.
So you're saying that He's got the infinite mercy,
Yeah.
and then He made another 100 mercies.
Allah created 100 mercies. What is mercy?
100
Mercy
parts,
is not
100 parts of mercy
100 parts of mercy.
So there are
He
only 100 parts of mercy.
for the creation.
The problem is if you don't allow me to say what I'm saying, obviously you will not understand what I'm saying. You tell me answer my question, but when I speak, you interrupt me every 2 seconds, right? So what I'm saying is this: Allah's attributes of mercy is not the 100 parts of mercy that He created. What is mercy?
Let me
Mercy
bring
is
up
not a
the
physical
hadith.
thing. You cannot yourself, bring the hadith, it's better.
Yeah.
You cannot yourself say that a mercy is a physical, tangible thing that you take a part of or you give. So Allah created 100 mercy. Why is this 100 mercies? I don't know. We don't know. It's not a physical thing. And then Allah gave, I'll finish now. And then Allah gave the creation one of these 100 mercies that they used to be merciful with each other. So it's not His attribute. That's why I said it's not to be counted. Go ahead.
So what you're saying is that the mercy that, and this is why I was interrupting you, because I'm just trying to make it a bit more concise, is that are you saying that Allah has infinite mercy and then on top of that made 100 mercies?
This 100 mercies He made, He did not make for Himself.
I didn't say that. I'm asking you step by step.
Oh yeah,
Did
Allah
he
has
make-
infinite mercy. Allah created 100 parts of mercies. He gave one
Yeah.
to the creation that
Yeah.
we're using to
And
be
where's the
merciful
other
with each other.
99?
The other 99 are still reserved.
He's reserved.
Reserved.
Oh, here it is.
Why would he need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
reserve it?
Read it
Okay,
from-
here it is. In Sahih Muslim, it is narrated from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh, that the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah has 100 parts of mercy, of which He sent down one between the jinn, mankind, the animals and the insects, by means of which they are compassionate and merciful to one another, and by means of which wild animals are kind to their offspring. And Allah has kept back 99 parts of mercy with which to be merciful to His slaves on the day of resurrection. This is in Muslim Al-Tawbah, I think that's a chapter 6908. Okay?
Okay, so my understanding of that, Surah, is that hadith is that He didn't create 100 parts of mercy. He endowed this creation with one part of 100 parts.
Yes, He has 100 parts
No,
of
no,
mercy.
no, but He didn't create them. He endowed. He has 100 parts. He endowed the creation with one, and the other 99 are for Judgment
Yeah,
Day.
but one thing you need to understand is that He did not give His
That's
own.
in contradiction to what you said.
No, it's not, because I think it's just the way he was explaining it. The main point I think Mohammed wanted to make here is that His own attribute of mercy He did not give to the creation. Is that clear?
I don't think it's clear from that.
Well, it is basically. If you see, I think there's another hadith as well.
Allah is. I think it's. What did it actually say? Allah is 100.
Yeah.
parts
So
of mercy.
what this hadith means, based on the
Really
scholars,
backed him.
based on the scholars, is that Allah is more merciful than His creation. That's the main emphasis on this hadith, and that's the reason it says the wild animals are merciful to His offspring as well.
That's by the by when it comes
Yeah,
to the.
but anyway, that's a key point. So going back to the question which you asked about if Allah is infinite, where did He create? Wasn't that your question? Your
My main
original question.
issue, yeah.
Yeah. So your main contention, I believe, is to do with the space, because what you're imagining is when you say God is infinite, you're imagining that He should occupy all space. Am I right?
Not space.
Location, you want to call it location?
Just be Allah. Just be one.
Yeah, so where is Allah? If I ask you the question based
Yeah.
on the Islamic perspective, I don't know what your understanding is.
Yeah.
Where is Allah?
Allah is just Allah.
No, where? I asked you where is
There
he?
is no location.
On the Islamic.
Well, how do you know there's no location?
Well, I don't know. No.
Okay, so that's what you need to first clarify. Because
You can
the
clarify to
answer,
me. I'm asking you to clarify too.
I think I've already mentioned this several times, that Allah transcends space and time.
Yeah.
Yes? So you cannot say Allah is in the east or in the west or in the south or north.
said
Yes?
that.
In the Quran also, Allah, when He says, when He ascended on the throne, yes? What is it? Istawa al arsh. Yes, this is also a particular direction, but in that sense as well, it is not the direction that we think like east, west, south, north. It just shows somewhere
I
up.
just want to
I
read
don't
the hadith in
conceptualize
Arabic
it
as
like
well.
that.
Yeah.
I don't conceptualize
So
it like
the hadith
that.
says in Arabic, جعل الله الرحمة 100 جزءا. Allah made mercy 100 parts. Which mercy is that?
I don't know.
Okay, so you're imposing that this is the mercy of Allah. The hadith doesn't say Allah made His mercy
Exactly.
100 parts. That was my point.
Not His attribute.
So-
yeah.
I can answer that
Okay,
point.
okay, I'll finish the hadith. Okay?
Okay.
The hadith says that Allah made mercy itself 100 parts. He held 99 and He sent on earth one. From that one, the creation is merciful to each other.
Yeah.
That is what the hadith says.
Yeah.
Right. So the hadith doesn't say that Allah made His mercy 100 parts, then He sent down one of His mercy to the creation, and He kept 99.
It
That
didn't
was
say
my
he
point.
made. No. He didn't. In the one that Hashim
This
read.
is the Arabic. I don't
In
know
the one
what
that
the
Hashim
translation.
read.
Maybe
how accurate
I think the Arabic is more accurate than the
That's
English
why
always.
I went to the
Translations.
Arabic. That's why I
let's
went to
go
the
step by
Arabic.
step. In the one that Hashim read,
Yeah.
it's like God mercy was 100 parts.
No, it's the same but translated from this. It's the same reference.
Sure.
So that's
But
why I'm giving you.
That might be a
your
better
translation.
translation.
No,
That
no,
might
no,
be.
no. It's okay, 100%.
But it's
Look, it says
translation. Your translation.
I can translate.
Maybe the one I read
That's
wasn't
the
very
one
good
that's
translation.
written.
Maybe his is
I
better.
can translate to you.
Muhammad Ali's translations. I can't really go by.
I'm an native Arabic speaker.
So?
So I can translate to you what barbod now.
No, you can't.
You don't. You don't
Why
like
can't
it for
he?
that. That means you don't want that.
No.
Why can't he?
Because I
Look.
trust. No,
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You know, actually, translation is always very difficult, as you've had lots of discussions.
Sure, that's
about.
why I don't need it. I
Exactly.
speak the native language.
Well, even if
You speak Arabic?
No, even when I'm speaking English to someone who's also a native English speaker, they're going to have different interpretations of certain words.
Like location and space.
I'm not putting interpretation at all.
But what we can do is that we've got one in Hashim's own reference,
Yeah.
and that's I have to go with that today.
Why?
Oh,
because it
it's
agrees
not
with you?
mine. Because it's not mine.
Because it agrees with you?
Yeah, I know.
So you're saying it does agree with
You know, earlier you
Can you
said.
pull
So you're saying
back?
Yeah, just wait.
Hashim, so you're saying it does agree with
Earlier,
it does agree with me.
Why, if you want to believe it,
If
that's
I
fine.
want
But we want to establish the truth, and none of the scholars, from what I know, is that believe that any of the attributes of Allah can be given to
creation.
a human, to any of the creation.
Definitely, yeah.
And this is something
none
which
of
is
the attributes
none of the attributes of Allah. So Allah's attributes are only with Him. Okay, it's not. It cannot be shared
Even
with the
this
creation.
mercy was-
Yes, everything. His
That was
attribute,
shared.
His attribute are unique and only applies to Allah
Even
Himself.
in
No one
Hashim's
else.
hadith, it doesn't say Allah made His mercy 100 parts. So still, it doesn't agree with your
no.
narrative.
Look, you have to
Does
get
it say
Hisham-
his
But,
You get him
yeah,
straight.
anyway,
You can read it
I
again.
think we probably go around in circles.
Yeah,
But I think as long as you understand the main crux of the matter, that
But
the
you-
mercy of Allah supersedes everyone.
No, but that's not the main crux of my argument. you
The
know,
main crux
because-
of the hadith, I'm saying.
No, for instance,
The main crux of the hadith.
Okay, another issue
Yes.
is this.
Now, before you go down to the issue, I want to ask you a
No,
question.
it's the same theme, but it's the same
Okay,
theme,
go
so
on.
it's not like
I want to ask you on your belief.
Sure.
A particular
I'm
question,
happy
which is
to
quite
do-
important.
I'm happy for that. That's
Okay,
no
so-
problem. But the same with Allah is all powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about it?
But there's the power of my iPhone, the power of the sun.
Yeah.
So
The creation
he
has its
doesn't-
own.
So he's created from infinite power. He's additionally created power in the creation.
No, what you're doing is, once again, you're not differentiating between the creator and the creation. So all the attributes apply only to the creator, Allah only. Okay? Whenever Allah gives power to His creation, or even the soul, the spirit that we have is a creation of Allah.
copy of still?
No, I gave it away.
Give it away, no
Yeah.
We have some.
So what I'm saying is that everything that the humans possess as their characteristics, they're all created. Everything, the mercy, the love, even things like the ability of power, yes, the will itself to do good and evil, all this is creation of Allah.
Yeah.
Yes, everything that the creation possesses as its characteristics are all because of Allah. But none of it is of Allah. Do you see the difference between the creator and the creation?
Well, that's I think that's what you're saying, but what I'm arguing.
When Allah
is
creates
that
power
it-
for the creation,
in the same
then it's
way-
meant for the creation. It is not meant to be applied to Allah Himself.
In the same way, as you've got the Kalam cosmological argument,
Yeah, that's what about it?
it kind of argues around the kind of the contingency of
Yeah.
things that follow.
Because the Kalam cosmological argument is quite simple. Anything that begins to exist, yes, must have a cause. In a simple one-line definition of the Kalam cosmological
Yeah.
argument
Yeah.
is that Allah did not begin to exist, but the creation began to exist. And that's the reason I'm saying it has a cause. And that cause is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
And His ability and His power to create is what created all this.
But what is the way that the Kalam cosmological argument argued that?
About
That it must have a
contingency.
cause?
Yeah, it's
about
contingency. So Allah is not
contingency
contingent.
and infinite. And that if things were infinite, they wouldn't get to the point of it can't be infinite.
No, that's the infinite regression you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Yeah, that's again different.
So part
That's
of
for
it,
people who say that who created Allah. Yes, because Allah is the uncreated. Yes, He's the first cause
Yeah.
and the uncreated
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
That means that it doesn't apply. The infinite regression doesn't apply to Him. Yes, because if everything had a creator, yes, then you would never have a creator or the creation. If you
That's
if you understand
right, yeah.
infinite regression.
Because of infinite regression.
Exactly, yeah.
So because of infinity and
Yeah.
that kind of aspect of absoluteness.
No, but the infinite
that-
regression, that shows the fallacy of applying. Does everything should have a creation? So should have a creator? Should have a cause? There has to be a point where this cause stops, and it's no longer dependent or contingent on anyone else. So He is now necessary.
But the reason
necessary
why
being
what's the argument as to why that has to happen is because
it's like you need to have a necessary, cause to bring everything else into existence. And this necessary cause is Allah.
and then it couldn't
Everything
be,
else is
and then it
contingent.
couldn't just go infinitely.
No, it
back.
couldn't,
Why
because
not?
then you would have the infinite regression fallacy.
Exactly, and that's what I'm using that same fallacy argument as that if you have an absolute being of
Yeah.
Allah, that He can't
He can't what?
make something outside of Himself and put a boundary around Himself, around this universe, this world, that then He is not in. And my argument would be the opposing argument is that He is absolutely, or God is absolutely everywhere in everything.
Yeah, but that's what you're doing. You're trying to juxtapose your worldview. Yeah, you are, because you're a pantheist. So you're
I'm
saying
into a step, but
no, you're saying that everything is God. Is it right?
Yeah.
Everything is God. That's not our view. That's your view.
know.
Okay. So now, because that is not our view, you need to separate the creation from the creator, which is our view. The creator is a necessary. He's a necessary first cause, or the uncreated cause.
Okay.
Yes, the necessary being, not contingent being. You see what I mean? The creation is the contingent upon the creator. Now, neither is also the space which He created. It's not something that you use the terms within and outside.
yeah.
That doesn't apply in this case.
Well,
because
you-
wait,
why not? That's
no,
the
that's.
question.
I'll
Why
tell you why
not?
not.
Yeah.
Because your worldview, in which God is everything, that is not our worldview. If God is everything, so every atom in the universe, yes, is God basically for you, right? Every atom is God.
And the space that it's in.
Well, obviously you have an atom anywhere.
Where there's no atom is also.
Okay, let's say every space in the universe, okay? Every single point of reference in the entire existence is God.
Yeah.
Yes? So whether it's, I don't know, something very clean or something very dirty, all right? Even that can be, according to you, something that is part of the universe and part of God.
Yeah.
Hence, but for us, that's not the case. We separate
Have you ever met a dirty molecule?
a dirty molecule. Well, I think what you poop in the toilet is pretty dirty.
Do you think
I think
the
it's more than a
molecule-
molecule, if you ask me.
Do you think the molecule of poop and the molecule of cake are different in their dirtiness?
Which one do you prefer to
They're
eat?
just molecules.
Which one would you prefer
They're
to eat?
just
No, but which
molecules.
one would you
They're
prefer
just
to eat?
molecules.
Would you
So
eat
would
the
you-
molecules
Your
of the
judgment
stones?
to make a
No, but which one would you eat and which one would you not eat?
I'm on a diet.
God eating God.
I think that speaks volumes.
100%. That was a joke.
I know, but
I know you're not very good with those.
No, I know it's a joke, but he went against you. You're the joke here.
I know.
You're the.
That was called self-deprecating.
Okay. No, but the thing is this: we
It's also
do
something-
identify.
It's also something you could learn.
Yeah, we do identify things which are not clean and the things which are clean, and that's where hygiene comes in. Okay,
No,
so
I
everything.
think, unfortunately, your mind, in the same way as you argue for my mind, your mind is going into judgments of dirty and clean. I am a human being that understands the difference between.
You use the same judgment as me.
Between judge and
You use the same
No,
judgment.
no, but
John, you would never consume poop.
no, I know.
Why is that?
So what
if
I'm
it's the
saying
same
is-
equal
well,
hygiene
I didn't,
as say water,
I
pure
didn't
water,
say-
why would you not consume?
I'm saying the difference between a
Yeah.
molecule.
Why using a molecule only?
Well, that's a better question than saying, do I want to eat shit?
Okay, let me rephrase this. Imagine this: if you knew there was a molecule of poop inside a pure glass of water,
Yeah.
would you drink it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You would drink it, even though you knew it.
And you know what?
Wait, even
you
though you
are
knew it.
drinking it because every bit of water we drink has got a molecule of poop.
But sometimes ignorance is bliss.
So no, maybe that says more about
But-
you, Hashim.
No, it doesn't, because I don't believe the Thames water has got poop in it.
Oh my God, really?
Maybe, and you
don't
shouldn't.
believe
And
that?
by the way, you shouldn't be drinking that. You should be
don't believe
drinking
that?
bottled water.
You don't? Do you think
You should be
bottled-
drinking bottled water.
Do you think bottled water? You don't think that the water you drink from the tap's got any poop in it?
No, I'm saying the bottled water.
Do you drink water from the tap?
If I don't have bottled
Do
water
you
and
cook in it? Do you cook in it, or do you cook from bottled water? Anyway,
Are you
we're
saying
going into.
are you saying there is no difference because they're all molecules?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you eat a molecule of a stone
Yes.
alone?
Yes.
Okay. Come, we're gonna bring
No,
something.
no,
to you.
no.
If you could get a
But do you
molecule
know,
of a stone, I'd be
but
very
Mohammed, you know what he has
impressed.
done here? You know why he used example?
Especially on a Sunday.
You know,
All of them.
Get me a
combined
molecule.
together.
brother,
Get me a
Mini.
molecule.
brother,
Many of them,
wait,
not just one.
Do you know why you use the example of the molecule? Because it's so minute that
I know,
it will
I
make a
know.
difference.
I know.
But would you, wait, in a pantheistic worldview, it's not just the molecule which is God or which is supposed to be
Yeah, everything, isn't it?
pure. Yeah. So if I give you the whole poop, yes, would you eat that?
No.
Why we use I know why you use molecule. Because that is something you can ignore, but the whole poop you wouldn't.
No, it's the fundamental particles. Is the issue,
But
yeah?
you wouldn't. The same fundamental particle makes up that big piece of poop
So
as
how
well.
did you make that distinction?
You see what I mean?
I think you're getting a bit lost.
I'm not. I think
the
I'm
whole
being consistent
point is
here.
that your kind of viewpoint on this, and correct me if I'm wrong on this,
Yeah.
is that you think actually a pantheistic or everything being kind of God can't be right because there is things that are unclean and not unclean.
No, not only that.
No,
Not
no,
only
no,
that.
but that was what you started.
That is one of the
with.
examples, yes.
Thank you.
One of the
no,
examples.
one thing
Yeah.
at a time. So that was, and why I said molecule is because to God, everything's molecules anyway, isn't it? You know.
What do you mean everything? No.
Well, yeah, God understands.
How do you know God cannot create something that is non-material as well? Do you think spirits are material?
No. But
No,
what I'm
answer
saying
my
is-
question.
No, what I'm saying
Is
is
spirit-
that this world. No, this world is.
Well, even this world, your consciousness, your consciousness, is that spirit?
Is
Sorry, is that physical or metaphysical?
we can come to that if you want, but the point is.
I've come to that because you're the one who brought up this point.
The point is
No. Your assertion doesn't work.
to an omniscient being.
Yeah.
Is just.
Yeah. Your
is just-
assertion that to God everything is molecule is
Yeah.
completely false.
Just energy.
No, that's not true at all.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think everything
What's
in
not
the
energy?
What's not energy? Your consciousness.
How do you know?
How do you know what is your consciousness?
How do you know what it's not energy?
Because you are making an assertion that it is energy. So prove it to me.
I haven't got my lab.
You don't need a lab to see something that is metaphysical. Ha ha ha.
Why? How do I know it's not what the energy?
Okay, is
my
your,
consciousness
listen,
energy?
is your consciousness physical?
We've had this before. The point
Did
I'm
we?
saying
I don't
is
think we
what
have.
is your argument against
My argument is very
panthe-
simple.
pantheism?
Not everything in the world is something natural to a naturalistic, from a naturalist perspective, material. So our world is not just material. To me, it is both physical and metaphysical.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
And
me
if
too.
you, especially if you speak about God, in my worldview, it is not something which is physical, in the sense that we perceive as physical.
Yeah.
Yes, it is something which is beyond scope of science.
Yeah.
So you cannot use a laboratory to identify God Almighty, or even angels, or even your own consciousness, which is within you. You see what I mean? No one can observe the brain and try to say, oh, there is consciousness over there. You see what I mean? So not everything is atoms and molecules. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I know.
And you know, in your,
I
I
agree.
want to know. You know, earlier we talked about mercy,
Yeah.
and I think we touched upon justice, and we touched upon other things which are attributes of God Almighty. Let me ask you this: is there justice in your worldview of pantheism?
Is there justice?
Yes.
there's concepts of justice within society.
No, I'm not talking about human justice. I'm saying about your God's justice, because you do believe God. This universe is conscious, and you
Yeah.
said it is. So show me from the conscious universe.
No,
Yes, other than your human self or other humanity, that there is justice.
why would I be? I don't. I'm not sure, because you're asking me to prove something that I haven't even. Do
Well-
I think that the concept of justice in the way we'd normally do it is a human construct.
Well,
As
not
part
really.
No, no, but I'm just saying.
Your worldview, is that what you're saying? From your
that
worldview?
that it's a human construct.
Okay.
From a limited perspective. So it's a concept that people utilise because they have a different perspective.
But it's flawed. It can be flawed, right?
What?
The justice that is the humans have basically imposed.
It is
For,
flawed,
for example, many people
Well,
believe
it's not flawed. Yeah, it's flawed.
many people believe abortion is perfectly legal in this country. Yes, but from my worldview, from the Islamic perspective, yes, unless there is what do you say, exceptions like rape or something, it is something that
I
is
can
not.
explain it better. Is that from a dualistic perspective that most people have, i.e. that people see themselves as separate, different, and that there's more than, there's separation between people, then justice is part of that dualistic viewpoint.
What do you mean by dualistic?
I'll come to it. From a non-dualistic...
I need to understand the term to understand you.
It's easier to describe non-dualistic. From a non-dualistic viewpoint, where there is only one entity of consciousness, call it God, but not Allah, then that's a non-dual thing. That's everything's one. You and me, all part of the same thing.
So you are.
But a dualistic, when we live in a dualistic perspective, then things like justice and morals and all of those other things.
So which one is your view?
Non-dualistic.
So you don't believe in justice then?
I think that's kind of a straw man argument.
It's not a straw man. It's a perfectly
What I'm
legitimate
saying
question.
is from a non-dualistic.
Yeah, but you don't believe in non-dualistic. So you do believe in non-dualistic.
non-dualistic.
Yes,
I'm non-dualistic.
Exactly. So in
from
your
a
worldview,
non-dualistic viewpoint,
yes, is that justice or not?
justice is a construct.
Is a construct, but is it applicable?
What do you mean?
Means can you apply justice
What do you mean?
from your worldview?
From my world,
Yes.
it's not for me to apply justice or not.
So who applies it then?
Other people who have a dualistic perspective.
So you are dependent on them to apply justice to you.
I'm not dependent on them for justice.
How can you apply something that doesn't exist? In a non-dualistic
I didn't
view,
say.
No,
you said in your.
I said.
You said in a non-dualistic.
No,
there
he-
is no justice.
Yeah, what he believes is like
So,
everything
and you're
is God.
assuming that non-dualistic is the truth, right? This is your
Yes,
position.
yes.
So on a non-dualistic, there is
Yes.
no true justice. So how can we apply
No,
something
I
which
didn't
doesn't
say
exist?
that. I didn't say there was.
This
No,
is
this
one of
is
the
what I'm
problems
saying
the
now.
Panther
You've
face.
got
That's why I asked
you've
this
got to
question.
be listen to what I'm saying. I said that there is justice from a dualistic perspective, from a non-dualistic perspective.
I'm
How-
asking
how?
from your perspective.
No, he's saying from his
I'm just
perspective.
saying
Okay.
there are coexisting perspectives.
So how is from your? Let's say if everyone was pantheist in the world today,
Yeah.
will there be any justice?
It depends. I mean, it's one thing being pantheist, and there's another thing understanding what that actually means. And
I'm sure you
applying it.
understand it.
Well, it's a
From your understanding, from your perspective, from your worldview, imagine a hypothetical situation. Let's say if everyone believes like you believe, yes?
Yeah.
Will there be justice in the world?
And you're saying
It
what
will
you
be-
believe.
Wait. I'm hearing something. Hopefully,
Yes.
an answer.
It's not actual justice.
I
It's
thought
just
so.
perfection.
I thought so.
There's just perfection.
So, in other words,
No, wait.
what do you mean perfection? What do you mean? Do you believe in good and evil at all?
No,
You don't believe. So, a murderer is good or evil, or neither?
I don't label the behaviour of a murderer as good or evil.
What do you label it as?
It's just the consequence of everything that's happened. And
What do you mean? What do you mean everything's happened?
I think
Are you saying everyone
it's
out there?
It's determined.
Wait.
by-
Are you saying everyone out there, even though they are capable of murdering, do you not distinguish between those who murder, that means take the life of an innocent person, in contrast to those who do not take the life of an innocent? Do you not see a distinction between the two?
Yeah.
So would you not label one as being something that is morally right and the other is morally wrong?
No.
So you don't have even the concept of morality.
Not in that way.
Wow, I thought it was just justice. Looks like there's more to pantheism than one could actually view it. Because what you're now saying is that all the morality that you teach your children, do you teach your children any morality? Do you tell them not to kill? Do you tell them not to steal?
I don't have to.
Are you sure? What kind of a parent doesn't?
Have you told your?
Yes, I do. I told them not to steal, not to lie, not to do
kill?
something.
Did you tell them not to kill?
Yes, because this is the part of the Quran.
Did you
Yes, it's part of the Quran. So I teach them. Yes, but do you not?
I don't need to.
So at what age would they realize that to kill someone is wrong?
Well, the thing is, it's not just my influence, is it? There's a whole societal influence.
So you're depending on
But
someone
I
who
think-
is non-pantheist,
I think
right?
that-
To impart a morality to your children.
I think what I would say is that I believe that human consciousness,
Yeah.
when we're in line with that consciousness and we're in line with the non-duality, that we wouldn't kill through understanding.
Sorry. Based on line with whom? In line with
with our true being. So
Which is what?
What takes us away from?
No, but you just said there's no morality in your
Give
true
me a
being.
second. Yeah, no.
There's no
What
concept of morality.
but
That's what he said.
What takes us away?
Yeah.
Well, what takes us away from that is dualism. Is to think that you're different from me. To think that if I kill you and take your money, I will be better
No,
off.
I'm not saying from my worldview, from your worldview.
No. From a dualistic point of view, that's what people think, isn't it? I can kill you, take your money, and then I will be better off. From a non-dualistic
That's
point
reality,
of view,
right?
Wait,
That's possible in a real world.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and the reason why it is because people believe it. People believe that they can take something from somebody else and they would be better off. Whereas I believe is I wouldn't be better off. In fact, I would be a lot worse.
You see, that is called morality. What he just said there is morality. When you say I will not be better off by stealing someone,
because it comes from a non-dual point of view.
no, it doesn't actually.
Yeah, you
no.
and me.
Okay, you tell me, where did you get that morality from?
What do you mean?
To steal something wouldn't be right for you. Where did you get that from?
Do you steal things from
No,
yourself?
don't put the question. I'm asking you the question.
Do you steal things from
John,
yourself?
I'm asking you the question. My morality is very clear. My
Do you
objective
steal
morality
things-
comes.
Can you steal things from yourself?
John, listen. My objective morality comes from the Quran and from the Sunnah. So I have a basis from where I draw my morality from. What is your fundamental source of what you would consider? Actually, you already gave us the answer. You said you don't have the concept of morality.
Yeah.
Yes, but just now what you described was actually morality.
You're right.
Morality,
and that's
yes.
why I understood that, and that's why I asked you the question: can you steal from yourself?